One quick thing, when the projects first changed and you seen the violence happening, you became the head of the, what is it, housing authority. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, as I began to get older, graduated high school and needed a real job, back in 1980, joined the ranks of the Housing Authority Police Department under Ray Dorsey. He was the law enforcement coordinator of this new project called the Anti-Crime Project for the Housing Authority, because the crime rate had gotten so bad and they could not depend on Baltimore City to come through and to give them that immediate attention. Ray Dorsey came in from Pennsylvania and he started this program called the Anti-Crime Program, and it consisted of police officers from the academy and residents who lived in the community, and their purpose was to create a safe environment for the projects, do away with the crime. I joined those ranks in 1980. Began to walk the streets right here of Lafayette Project, combating the crime. What made this interesting was the fact that I lived here. I knew a lot of the people, and a lot of people knew me. So it was a matter of principles, a matter of ethics, and getting out there and doing the things that need to be done.
How bad was the crime, would you say, from when we came up as kids and how it escalated? How bad did it, how good was it, and how bad did it escalate to?
Well, let me put it this way. Summer of 1980, right there in Lafayette Project, a war broke out between Harford Road and Lafayette Project. It was the beginning of the open air drug market. Harford Road, where you had to go to Harford Road to get your drugs, now the young kids from the community were now selling drugs, standing on the corner in the parking lot and around the buildings, downstairs of the building and the stairways of the building, selling the drugs. When the guys from Harford Road realized that they were losing money, they came looking to find out where and who was stealing their business. When they found out, they found some, I ain't gonna mention the names, but they found a couple of young guys who lived in the project who were now selling the drugs right out on the street. And they empowered other kids. Now these kids were strapped and everything else. So when they realized who was stealing their money, they came down in a white van. It was a cargo van, no seats in it except for the drivers and passengers. The rest of the truck bed was loaded with guns, shotguns, rifles, ammo, the whole nine. And they came down and they just started open air shooting the summer of 1980. It was the worst summer that Lafayette Project had ever seen. And fortunately, there were no casualties. There were injuries, but no casualties. Nobody died that summer from that shootout. Then the war went from Lafayette up to Harford Road, where it stayed for a good amount of time. But because of the retaliation of the kids from Lafayette Project, we didn't have any more problems in Lafayette concerning that. Now, it did bring on its own problems in Lafayette. These same young guys, as the heat became on them, the police came down on them. We doing investigations, we got names. As they begin to become identified, and a lot of them were still in elementary school, junior high school and high school. As we begin to kick down doors and knock down doors and get involved with making arrests, the leadership of this organization changed. And when it changed, one of the young men who was the first leader to start this took a back seat because he wanted to wait until it cooled down. Well, it was the summer of 1981 that I witnessed his death of him trying to get back into the game. And they killed him right there in front of 125 building, which is about 100 feet from his house. So the violence in the community became real bad. It really did. The whole environment changed. Kids no longer could be out on the street playing, and parents no longer planted their flowers every year. The greenness of the community was no. You would sit down there and you just had to go down, and they had the reds and the blues and the yellows and the greens, and they were the markings of the drugs. And eventually it got to the point where people, as they got older and they were not involved in that, just began to move out of the project. And the project became a magnet for crime. Just like you see in the city, the movie New Jack City, and they took over the Carlton. Well, it hadn't gotten that bad, but the atmosphere of that kind of crime began to plague Lafayette Project. Then years later, they realized crime got so bad, they had to blow them up. So they blew them down, and now we have Pleasant View Gardens. And I guess that was a good name because of what they went through, that they wanted to change it to something that sound more pleasant. So Pleasant View Gardens became the name, and I'm quite sure somewhere in this documentary there are video clips of Pleasant View Gardens.
How powerful is the cycle of the Spirit when people, as long as we hold on to God's words and follow God's way, that we all come back somehow, like me and you, to do an even higher purpose and be that example for McKims and so many other people that sometimes give up hope. I mean, even our relationship today.
Well, you look at, Bam, you look at the atmosphere, the upcoming, and I am who I am today because of my past. My past has played such a powerful piece of my life. Went on to join the police department, good education, opening now 3 businesses. You have to accredit that to somewhere. And I would have to say, because the odds were so great in Lafayette Project, if it wasn't for the magnet of McKims and having an outlet outside of that arena into a place that would allow you to develop and find yourself. The spirituality of McKims, the unity and the fact that it's a place that you can go and feel at home. It's, I guess that's the spirit of it all together. So to want to come back and to help a place like McKims to continue to function is an investment into our future. What is going to happen with tomorrow if we don't prepare our kids of today to be as we were yesterday, that the cycles of life can continue? So this becomes extremely important that we give back. The Bible says very clearly, it says, when you have done unto the least of me, you've done unto me. And that's God speaking, saying that when you've done unto those who are way, way, way lower than you and not doing as great as you, when you've helped them, you've helped me. And it's good to know that we as people can serve God through helping God's people. And you can't do that unless you have a spiritual love for who God is, who you are. Man, that was a divine intervention. When we ran into each other right there, it was right there that we came out for, I think it was McKim's annual flea market. Annual flea market. We came out, I came out to volunteer, you came out to participate. And when we saw each other and we spoke and we embraced and shared the love that we had from years back, it was an enlightening on both of our parts. And it just was evidence of how God was moving in our lives, that we shared so much, or we had so much in common. I pursued my career in security and law enforcement to the point of self-employment. You pursued your career in martial arts to the point of self-employment, where you were now giving back. And we spoke, and I heard your pain, I heard your frustrations, I heard your hurts. And at the time, being into God, I shared something with you. And I said, Bam, this is the Bible I used to the point where you went out and grabbed that same Bible, and I'm quite sure you have it today. Yeah. And that's impressive. So I looked at God putting us together. Then we dug deeper, and we realized that what you did and what I did was a marriage. And we began to put the two together. As I began to teach and train people in security, we both knew that they needed to have some self-defense, some points of survival. So we put the program together and we launched it right over here in Sir John Douglas College, where we, 9-week program of entry-level security training.